Welcome to Trap Bible Stories. This is part 2 of Joseph and his Hayden brothers. But let me catch y'all up because Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery and he went from a pit to prison. And now he's running things in prison when a baker and a cupbearer enter in prison. And y'all guess who was still running the place? Joseph. Joseph, being who he was, took care of them while they were locked up. But then both of them started having wild dreams. Joseph was like, "Y'all good? Why you look like that?" They were like, "Bro, we had these crazy dreams and nobody can tell us what they mean." So y'all, Joseph's like, "God got the answers, tell me the dreams." The cupbearer was like, "I saw a vine with 3 branches, it grew grapes and I squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup." Joseph's like, "Bet, in 3 days, you're getting your job back. Pharaoh's gonna put you back in the palace to pour his wine like nothing ever happened. And don't forget your boy when you're back in the palace, hook me up." Then the baker was like, "What mind me? I had 3 baskets of bread on my head, but birds were eating it." Y'all, why Joseph hit him with the whoop? Joseph's like, "You really wanna know?" The baker was like, "Yeah." So y'all, Joseph gonna say, "Yeah. So in 3 days, Pharaoh's gonna murk you and the birds are gonna eat your body, R.I.P. my homie." The baker was, "Bro." And guess what, y'all? Both dreams came true. The cupbearer got his job back and the baker became a homie. But y'all, here's the thing. The cupbearer forgot about Joseph. He left my boy Jojo sitting in jail for 2 years. Fast forward, Pharaoh started to have crazy dreams about cows and grain. Nobody could figure it out and Pharaoh was stressed. That's when the cupbearer gonna say, "Oh, I know somebody who can interpret dreams. There's this dude I met in jail, Joseph." Pharaoh's like, "Bring him here right now." When Joseph heard Pharaoh wanted to meet him, tell me why he cleaned himself, shaved and changed his clothes. Anyways, y'all, Jojo walks in. And y'all immediately to Pharaoh's like, "Can you explain my dream?" Joseph's like, "Hold on, partner. I can't, but God can." So Pharaoh says there were 7 fat cows getting eaten by 7 skinny cows and 7 healthy heads of grain getting swallowed by 7 dried up ones. So Joseph was like, "Okay, God, what this mean?" Then he said, "The 7 fat cows and healthy grain are 7 years of abundance. The 7 skinny cows and dried up grain are 7 years of famine. You need to save during the good years so you don't starve during the bad ones." Pharaoh was like, "Ninja, for real?" Jojo was like, "Yep." So guess what the Pharaoh did, y'all? He told Joseph to be in charge, y'all. Just like that, Joseph went from prison to second in command of all of Egypt. So y'all, those 7 years of famine came just like Joseph said, and out of every way, Egypt was the only place with food. People from all over were pulling up to buy grain because they were starving. They were so desperate, they started trading their livestock, their land, and even themselves just to get food. Y'all, Egypt became so rich that Pharaoh ended up owning pretty much everything because of Joseph. Everybody was popping up to the palace to get food, and guess who else showed up? Joseph's brothers. Y'all, they walked in and Joseph recognized them, but y'all, they didn't recognize him because, you know, he glowed up. But Joseph, oh, he was like, "Ain't this something?" So y'all, Joseph was like, "Where y'all from?" And they were like, "We're from Canaan and we just here to buy food." But y'all, Joseph wasn't letting them off easy though. He hit him with, "Nah, y'all spies, you came to see where Egypt's weak spots are." So y'all, they started panicking. They were like, "No, wait, hold on now, baby. We're just 12 brothers, sons of one man. Well, there's only 10 of us here. 1 brother's gone. And the youngest is back home with Pops. Can y'all imagine Jojo? He's the same dudes who sold him into slavery. His mama is dead and he missed years with his family, but y'all, Joseph played it cool. Joseph was like, "Well, y'all ain't getting no more food until you bring back your youngest brother to prove your story." And in the meantime, Joseph was like, "And one of y'all gotta stay in prison until y'all bring the young brother back." So he put Simeon in jail. And y'all, they started arguing with each other, not knowing Joseph understood every word, talking about, "This is all our fault. We're being punished for what we did to Joseph." And y'all, Joseph had to step out because he was so emotional. He walked out, cried, and came back like, "All right, y'all take your grain and go." And they came back with Benjamin, the new favorite son. Joseph threw a whole feast for them, but he had to know if they'd really changed since they sold him for 20 silver coins like a discount item on Black Friday. So during dinner, Joseph hid his silver cup in Benjamin's sack to see if they'd abandon him too. So y'all, Joseph let them leave, but sent his steward to chase them down. When the steward pulled up on him, he was like, "Which one of y'all stole my master's silver cup?" The brothers were offended. Judah was like, "What? We would never. If you find it on any of us, kill that man and the rest of us will be his slaves." But the steward was like, "I'ma just take the thief who has it." So the steward starts going through their bags and gets to Benjamin's sack, and y'all, there's the cup. So now the brothers start panicking because now they're like, not us losing daddy's second favorite son. So y'all, they went back to Joseph begging and pleading with Joseph like, bro, please, we can't go back to our daddy without Benjamin. It would kill him. Judah was like, take me as your slave instead. Just let him go, please. And y'all, that's when Joseph couldn't take it anymore. He sent all the workers out of the room and broke down crying like, y'all, it's me, Joseph. The brother y'all sold, his brothers were like, and y'all, they were immediately terrified because they knew how dirty they treated him. But y'all, unlike me, Joseph wasn't even mad. He told them, don't be afraid. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. He sent me here to save lives. Y'all, Joseph could have snapped. He could have sent him to jail, sold him into slavery, or let him starve, but he didn't. He brought the whole family to Egypt and not just saved their entire family from starving, but all the countries who came to Egypt. Moral of the story, Joseph had every reason to be bitter. Years in jail, betrayal, missing his family and losing his mom, but he chose forgiveness over revenge, and he trusted that God had a bigger plan even when life didn't make sense. And sometimes the people who try to bury you don't realize you're a seed. God will use the same ones who tried to take you out to elevate you. Your pain, your prison, and your pit are still a part of your purpose, so in every season, walk in faith. Anyways, now go read it for yourself. Genesis 37 through 50. This is Trap Bible Stories with Tam Watts.